A church picnic in Nong Bua Lampu in northern Thailand. The mood today is cheerful and relaxed. But the children you see here have a heavy load to bear. They are all infected with the HIV virus. Most of them are orphans, their parents AIDS victims, or they were rejected by their families because of the disease. That's what happened to Bia when he was diagnosed with AIDS. His grandparents tried to drown him in the bathtub. At the last minute, they took pity on him, but Bia was left severely disabled. Bernd is familiar with many such stories. The divine word missionary is also a trained nurse. His order has a special vocation to care for those on the margins of society, people like the boys and girls you see here.
They have been robbed of their human dignity just because they are HIV positive. I think it's terribly important to give them the opportunity of having a place they can call home, a place in which they can be themselves. I think it's our duty as the Church to create that environment for them.
With its fascinating Buddhist heritage, the Kingdom of Thailand is a popular holiday destination. But it's not only cultural treasures and sunny beaches that attract tourists to the country. Thailand is also a magnet for sex tourists. There are an estimated 2 million prostitutes here. Poverty drives young people from the countryside into the cities. Here in Bangkok, many of them find work in the red light district. One consequence is that AIDS has spread rapidly throughout the population since the 1980s. More than 1 million Thais have become infected with HIV. Some 600,000, about 1% of the population, have died as a result. But the number of new infections is decreasing, thanks to the measures taken not just by the government, but other organizations as well. Projects like those run by Brother Bernd help to limit the spread of the disease. It's 4 in the afternoon. For Tur, May, Beam, God and Mon, it's the end of a tough school day. These young people attend school in Nong Bua Lampu, and Brother Bernd collects them after class.
The children who come to us, who are 15, 16 or 17, were born when the probability of a mother infecting her baby was very high, either during pregnancy or through nursing.
Während der Schwangerschaft oder eben durch das Stillen.
Others who come here were infected as teenagers through sexual intercourse. Some of the children were sexually abused. One boy was infected by his father, who had sexually abused him repeatedly.
Der von seinem Vater immer wieder sexuell missbraucht wurde und so infiziert wurde.
Most of the children are orphans, and that's usually because both their mother and father have died of AIDS. In cases where there are parents, where the parents are still alive, they're generally unable to look after their children. There are also cases of children being placed in risky situations, where foster parents might ask a young woman to work as a housemaid, but then expect her to provide sexual favors in the evening. We have to protect them from things like that.
the moment, there are 3 girls and 6 boys living here. Each of them is expected to contribute to running the household. It's wash day, and Toom is busy. Her parents died, and now her grandmother is her only living relative. But she hangs up the phone whenever her granddaughter calls. God has also done his washing today. The kids don't have many clothes, which is all the more reason to take good care of the ones they do have. In an old cupboard, Ice has constructed a small altar in remembrance of his father, who died young. At 19, Fu is the eldest. He looks after the ducks. These small household chores teach the children to take responsibility. When Fu first arrived here, he used to stuff his pockets with food at mealtimes. He'd had to go hungry so often as a child.
Our goal is to give all the children some kind of vocational training so that they can take care of themselves in the future. Some have become mechanics, and they now repair cars or motorbikes. One girl trained as a nurse's assistant. Many of the children have gained a good foothold in life through the training and education they received while here.
Dum, Bean and May still have to do their homework. Brother Bernd or one of his 2 co-workers help when needed.
Education gives them a start in life. That's why we do everything to help them get a qualification before they leave us.
The children feel at home here. When the Divine Word missionaries first came to Thailand in 1999, they saw that AIDS was not only killing adults, it was creating orphans. With the help of donations, they were able to establish this home. Brother Bernd has been running it for the past 2 years. At 6 in the evening, the children gather around a cupboard in the dining room. This is where the medications that keep the virus in check are kept. The pills that enable the girls and boys to lead relatively normal lives.
To encourage them to be more independent, we try not to simply dispense the medicines, but we encourage the children to manage their medication on their own. We allow them to take a lot of responsibility for themselves, so that when they are living on their own, they will continue to take their drugs.
Here we can see what can happen to someone infected with HIV. We're in the AIDS Rehabilitation Center, run by the Divine Word missionaries in Non Bua, Lampu. Vanchai was hospitalized here when his infection became life-threatening.
Most of the patients are malnourished and in very poor health when they come to us. Many have TB or pneumonia and a very low T4 cell count. You could say that they have full-blown AIDS. After we've cared for them for a while, we take them to hospital. In consultation with the doctors there, they receive medication so that they can better manage the disease.
Sodass dann sie dieses Stadium AIDS verlassen und einfach HIV-positiv sind.
Brother Bernd works here as a nurse. He treated 48-year-old Vanchai a year ago. When the patient's condition improved, he was discharged. But Brother Bernd continued visiting him at his home.
I asked him if he was still taking his medication, and he said he was. Then I asked him where he kept the drugs. We found out that he didn't have any. Then we went to see him again just before Christmas and discovered that his family had built him a hut far from their home in a rice field. It didn't have a bathroom, and he was only given food once a day.
And Brother Bernd took photos, pictures that show how AIDS victims are treated in Thailand. They're ostracized by society because people are afraid of them. In ramshackle huts, they have to eke out an existence. These shocking revelations moved the Divine Word missionaries to provide help. Medical advances have radically reduced the AIDS mortality rate. The Thai government has acted decisively in combating AIDS, and it issues the medication free of charge. But the general population is still neurotically fearful of AIDS patients.
People are simply abandoned at our door in the middle of the night because their relatives are afraid to care for them or to touch them even when they're dead. When someone dies, the body is taken to the temple and cremated there. But at first it was hard to find a temple or monks who would carry out this ritual because they were afraid of being infected with HIV, even after the person had died. I've seen a number of people die. We try to ease the passage from life to death as best we can. All of our patients are Buddhists. I think everyone, whatever his beliefs or religious affiliations, has spiritual needs. We try to cater to those needs. When a patient dies, we organize the funeral. We make a coffin and take the body to the temple where it is cremated.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday.
It's Vanshai's birthday. Anyone who is able joins in the celebration. Activities like this are as important as medical attention. Brother Bernd and his Thai co-workers are all convinced of that.
I believe that everyone should be acknowledged. You need to acknowledge each patient every day. That's possible here because we are a very small institution. We have 10 beds and can accommodate 10 patients. So we are conscious of each patient as an individual. He's not just a number. He's, for example, Vanshai, and we're celebrating his birthday. If we hadn't, he'd have felt sad. That's why we do it.
Brother Bernd is not here to buy anything. He has another reason for visiting the motorcycle shop. The attractive young woman showing him the latest models is actually a man, a so-called ladyboy. In Thailand, ladyboys are viewed as a kind of third sex. They even have their own restrooms.
You see ladyboys all over Thailand. They're good sales staff, good entertainers. They are in every branch of society. They simply belong, and they are well respected in the community.
27-year-old Gao was born male. She shows Brother Bernd and his co-worker photos from her younger years. She's no longer interested in having a sex change. She's reconciled to the fact that she has a man's body, although she considers herself a woman. Brother Bernd knows a lot of ladyboys. He's taken care of many as they lay dying. That's why he wants to do something for them. He wants Gao to take part in an AIDS prevention program. Even though the number of new HIV infections is leveling off in Thailand as a whole, it's increasing among ladyboys. They all agree that has to change.
I think if you want to campaign for prevention, it's important to enlist key people who are part of the scene. That's how you reach the actual target group. A few years ago, Gao was voted Miss Ladyboy of Nong Bua Lampur, so she's a celebrity in the ladyboy scene. Of course, there are places where they socialize and gather, and they are also linked on Facebook and other social media. It's a trend for heterosexual high school students to have sex with ladyboys. It's viewed as a kind of rite of passage when a young man has sex with a ladyboy.
A school 70 kilometers east of Nong Bua Lampu. The kids are in high spirits. But the topic of this two-day course is serious: sexuality and the danger of HIV infection.
Sex education is part of the school curriculum, but when we go to the schools, we often discover that the topic hasn't been discussed at all.
Brother Bernd has put together a team that visits about 20 schools each year. The program reaches between 2,000 and 2,500 pupils. They're encouraged to talk openly about their sexuality. Working with the kids reveals how little they know about AIDS, the ways in which they themselves could get infected with HIV, or what precautions are necessary when they come into contact with an infected person.
The children here mature sexually at a very young age and have their first sexual experiences while they are very young. We want them to have some background knowledge before they start experimenting.
The boys and girls are not just motivated by curiosity and sexual desire. Some girls prostitute themselves to fulfill other wishes.
They want money to satisfy their material needs or to buy status symbols. Every child wants a cell phone, and not just one to make calls. It has to be a smartphone so that they can chat on Facebook. And to get one, they do a lot of things they shouldn't, like, for instance, prostituting themselves.
Brother Bernd sets up an experiment. The liquid in the small glasses represents body fluids through which the deadly virus spreads. To illustrate what happens during sexual intercourse, the children exchange their fluids with several classmates. Brother Bernd added an invisible substance which represents the HIV virus to one of the glasses. Nobody knows which one. The students are told to mix their fluids 5 times. As the number of contacts increases, the substance spreads. This demonstrates how the AIDS virus spreads. When a contrast agent is added, it becomes clear how much the substance has spread from a single glass. The students are anxious. Who has contracted the deadly infection? Then they meticulously note the results. In the end, 29 of the 70 pupils were infected as a result of exchanging fluids 5 times. If this weren't simply a game, 1 in 3 would have caught the deadly virus. Back in the home, it's early morning. May, Tum, Bean and their friends have got up early. The parish is celebrating its patronal feast, and the bishop has been invited. With the help of 2 ladyboys, the young people want to entertain the guests with traditional Thai dancing. For the bishop, it's not unusual that some of the dancers are ladyboys. The church next to the home is packed. Many of the priests have traveled a great distance. Some of them are divine word missionaries like Brother Bernd. The German lay brother chose not to study theology and become a priest himself. He sees his vocation as a simple brother. Although few of the children and residents of the rehab center are Christian, they attend Mass in the Catholic Church. This sparked a heated debate in the local parish.
Half the congregation in our church on Sundays are HIV positive, and there has been discussion in the past about whether we should separate them from the others. HIV positive on the left, and people who are not infected on the right. But it's unthinkable for us as Christians to separate people into 2 classes, HIV positive and HIV negative. It's impossible. We can't separate rich and poor, just as we can't separate black and white. As Christians, we are called to be one and to live in unity. That's what our religion is about. Our mission is to bring about unity, or at least create the conditions for it to develop.
After Mass, the girls and boys show what they've been rehearsing for weeks.
You could see at the church celebrations, in preparing the event and in cleaning up afterwards, that the children are a mainstay of the parish. It's very important to me that the children don't just learn to receive, but also to give. That they learn to participate in the parish and come to know that life is about giving and taking.
Einfach zu sehen, dass Leben ein Geben und ein Nehmen ist.
And of course, it wouldn't be a proper parish celebration without a soccer tournament. In addition to the home team, there are teams from the neighborhood. And even the bishops dressed for the occasion. Of course, Brother Bernd is rooting for his own team. He knows how badly they need to experience success.
I'm their brother, especially of those who have been rejected by their families or don't have any parents or brothers and sisters and suffer as a result. It's my ideal to be their brother. It's part of my sense of mission to form relationships with these people. Honest relationships.
But it's a visiting team who take home the cup awarded by the bishop. Brother Bernd's team didn't win this time. But the missionary hopes the boys have learned that small setbacks are part of life and are no reason to give up.
There have been children who have left the home when it was clear to us they weren't ready yet, and they ended up on the street. Sometimes you have to accept that and let someone go. I always say the door is never closed. You can come back any time when you feel you want to change your life. And I always think of the gospel of the prodigal son, who the father welcomes back into his home with such joy. I think that's what many of them miss, having a home. If we succeed in making what we have here the kind of place they can call home, or a place they can return to when things get tough, then we've achieved a lot.
Ich glaube, dann haben wir schon viel erreicht.